Our company was started by my dad in 1958, and we were incorporated in 1980 into the name we have now as Gwin & Sons Logging Company. But basically, our little business has been going for 60 years.
I first met Rick in 1986. He grew up in Vernonia. His ancestors were some of the first white settlers in this area.
I can remember coming out here and watching when he had his dad out building road with him and seeing those interactions, and now his son Cody is loading logs, preparing to take on part of the business. And so there's this long-term thought about being out here, not just today or tomorrow, but for the long haul. We've worked together with Rick Gwin since I came down here in 2005, and he worked for some of those folks that now work for me quite a ways longer than that. And he's always been one of the go-to guys because he has a great attitude, and no matter what kind of new stuff we're trying, whether it's on the landscape, placing some of the short snags, whether it's some of the new drainage structures along the road, he's always a can-do guy, and whatever we come up and say, hey, what do you think about doing this? He's like, it's a good idea.
I've got, I think, 14 or 15 people on the payroll right now. Good men, long-term career loggers.
The operators that he's hired, some of them have been with him for as long as 25 years. And those guys really care about being out here because this isn't just the forest they go to work in, it's a home, place they recreate. And you know, it really shows that not only Rick, but his whole crew.
We see a lot of eagles flying around, and when somebody spots one, it's almost like, hey, everybody, take a look over there and you'll see an eagle, possibly two. It's just the wildlife and the solitude and the trees. We just like looking at trees.
He respects the land. He takes pride in his job that he does, and you see that every day. He's out here every day working with his men, making sure that the job gets done right.
We put safety ahead of everything. I've got a pretty good track record.
He's always busy. He works for 5 different industrial landowners. They all recognize the quality job that he does.
He's working hard out there every day to protect the resource in Oregon, primarily the water resource, but there's the soil and wildlife as well.
The Forest Practices Act is all about protecting the resources out here. The water, the soil, the wildlife. Rick gets that, and he goes above and beyond making sure that that happens each and every day that he's out here. When we first look at the units, before he even really bids on the unit, he walks the ground, he knows what's going to happen, how it's going to be done, and then he can give an appropriate bid for the job. He'll take the precautions to make sure that there isn't an issue when hauling during wet weather. He'll shut the trucks down, even if that means turning the trucks around once they're at the landing, if it just becomes too wet.
We put a temporary crossing in on the main haul road to get in here, over the fish bearing creek. The straw along the ditch line coming in was just to keep erosion down. Working for the timber companies, they require us to at least follow the letter of the law, but we find numerous ways that we go above and beyond. There's a few snags around here that we have cut with our feller buncher as high as it can reach. It's not required, but you drive by and you'll see a bird perched on it. They're used frequently by the critters. We try and stay further away from waters of the state than what's required. Try and protect all the resources that we can. Fire danger is a major concern, so we have as good a fire equipment as we can and keep the brush down the best we can, keep a fire line here and there. Wintertime, it's about water quality in our haul roads and the way we're treating the ground, the weather we're working in. The roads are, of course, are all-weather roads when we're in the winter. There's plenty of rock on them, so we don't have any turbidity in any waters. And if something like that does arise, we stop the hauling immediately and have the problem repaired or just wait till better weather.
He's really stayed ahead of technology in the past. Some of the other places we saw how he's piled the unit to help with the dispersion of the water and the slash abatement so we don't have to burn. There was a long time when he was hot chunking and we're salvaging additional material from the harvest unit at the time of logging so that it wouldn't be put in the slash piles. He's kept on modernization curve with the equipment that he's using, the single grip processors, the feller bunchers, the modern equipment that doesn't have leaks, that really provides a light footprint on the environment, you know, protects the soil from things like petroleum drips.
So now we mainly run the shovels, where they make one pass in, out, and they bring all the logs as they go. So we're basically, they make one pass out and one pass back to the landing, and a lot of times that's all it is. And then they stabilize the soil as they come in, so you don't have any runoff anywhere at any time. Technology is huge. Every one of the pieces of equipment out here has a computer in it. The feller buncher has a laptop that he looks at. Program, it's a Venza Maps, and it's geographically referenced. The operator knows exactly where he's at, so he can be aware of possible drainages, water, if it's not already been identified. Technology is huge. It's a good thing. To stabilize the soil, we take the grapples out in the log loaders and just fluff up the topsoil. And we also have a big rake that we carry around with us. We can drag it back and forth and just loosen up the compacted soil. If operators start and finish and leave the unit where it's going to grow another rotation well, and we've protected the resources, being water, critters, animals, bugs, and also supply the general public of the wood products that is needed, maybe things will be better.